All right, everybody. I'm back. Like, I was interrupted by a phone call, right? So what we was doing in this reaction video, uh, about the this guy, like the cop, like he is literally, um, just bogus, like playing drugs and ruining people's lives. But let's get back into this video.
Oh man, I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. Like, I have to have an employee with me come.
Let me get my popcorn though, because I gotta eat some pop. I got the little snacks over here. You know how it is. Watching movies for show. This, this is it's good. Oh, this is sort of this popcorn is good though. So let's get back into it.
Did bank for the deposit every morning.
Wester's demeanor on the side of the road was probably the worst part, not because he was mean, but because he was so nice.
This is unfortunate for you today. Okay. This is going to be a fork in the road, man. You go left to right.
The buddy demeanor that, oh no, you're going to jail. It was a lot of the same MO over and over again. He was playing a game, which is sick.
But catching Wester in the act is not so simple.
Let's do this bogus.
That black container right here.
I combed through these videos and you do not directly see him planting evidence. You see what could be argued to be an inadvertent aversion of body camera at the critical moment that stuff is recovered. He essentially was employing like magic tricks to hide evidence.
Coming up, can the truth be uncovered?
No, sir.
I'm not going to ask you any questions. I'm going to read you your rights first, okay? So just hang out 50 take
What is it?
When you are corrupt, when you are dirty, when you're a liar, it's going to catch up with you at some point. But that one piece of evidence right there proves to be crucial in this case.
Yes, sir.
If I was driving that vehicle right there, okay, and if my corporal pulled me over and searched the vehicle, and if he found that, what would happen?
Probably
Wouldn't be working here out there and search go to jail. Whenever you get behind the wheel of that vehicle, do you are in possession of everything in this vehicle, okay?
Out in Jackson County, Florida, between 2016 and 2018, Sheriff's Deputy Zachary Wester is arresting various people after supposedly finding narcotics in the cars they were driving.
If I would have never lifted the center console, I would not have seen that orange part sticking up. It was right between the console and the front passenger seat.
Not only do these motorists claim the drugs don't belong to them,
You were in constructive possession of methamphetamine, okay?
No,
So you were wanted for possession of methamphetamine because it was on your side of the vehicle. What I'm going to do, though, since that young little boy's looking back, I'm not going to put you in handcuffs, okay?
but between inconsistencies in his reporting, the body cam turning off at key moments, and the locations of where the drugs are found, something's not right, and someone starts taking notice.
There was a whistleblower in this case named Christina Pumphrey. She worked for the state attorney's office at the time. There were a lot of things with this case that just didn't sit right with her. So she started doing her own investigating.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Is that seat slide? Man, I'm in the Christmas spirit. What we got there, my friend? Look at there.
They actually start picking up on some discrepancies from his reports to what's actually shown on the body-worn camera. And this right here is a crucial moment. We need to look into this a little bit further. We've got to notify the supervision to start running an investigation into Wester. At that point, they start pulling all these traffic stops.
However, there's a big problem.
So this ain't yours in the door right here? You are going to be detained now, okay? Because it was illegal. Okay, I'm just detaining you. Just put your hands behind your back.
On his body cam footage, we don't actually ever see him planting their narcotics. That raises some red flags to me. Did he actually find the drugs, or were they actually planted? I don't know.
He had mastered what he was doing. He knew when to turn his body camera off. He knew when to keep it on. He knew when to find whatever he was going to find. The fact that he was so comfortable doing it, he was so good at only showing what he wanted to show, until it came to the Teresa Odom video. That's when he really slipped up.
Deputy Westwood, that's the Sheriff's Office. The reason for my stop is your brake lights. They work 1 minute, and the next minute they don't work. You got your driver's license on you, ma'am?
I just got tickets the other day. I'll be glad to show them to you.
No, you're fine. Would you consent to a search of your vehicle? You're fine with that? Okay.
You know, we saw in the Teresa Odom case where there was a frame-by-frame shot of his body camera, and we saw that there was a clear baggie in Wester's hand during the stop.
You can physically see a packet with a white powder in his hand before he puts his glove on, which he later finds that same packet in Teresa Odom's truck.
It is yogurt, sir.
I know. Okay.
It's yogurt.
How about this?
That is not mine. No, sir.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you
No,
your
sir.
I'm not going to ask you your question. I'm going to read you your rights, okay?
That's what blew the case wide open in reality. What you see in his hand before he ever searches the truck. That's what really got him in trouble.
Authorities discover a stash of drugs and paraphernalia hidden in the trunk of Wester's patrol car. After an investigation by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, it's suspected that Zachary Wester planted narcotics in dozens of traffic stops. In 2019, Wester is arrested, and he's ultimately charged with 67 crimes with respect to 12 victims: racketeering, official misconduct, fabricating evidence, false imprisonment, perjury, and possession of controlled substances and drug paraphernalia.
The first thing that I thought was, this deputy wants to get involved in some type of narcotics unit. So he's trying to pad his numbers. What we kept seeing during these traffic stops was it seemed to always be methamphetamine. Nothing really surprises me there. You know, we still have a methamphetamine problem across the United States. A proactive law enforcement officer, you stumble upon drugs on a frequent basis. He's trying to show that he goes out here and makes big cases. I worked in a unit that focused on street-level narcotics, and it's hard to get into these units.
He gave me a piece of advice. Sometimes the people you think you can trust are the very ones you shouldn't. That has stuck with me as the most chilling thing he said. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have trusted the police officer standing in front of me. And how awful is that to have to say? When you think of all the other people before me and after me who he played the same game with, and he won those. He had no fear in what he was doing.
He has to pay those people. The police station got to pay those people.
It's disgusting.
Ruin their lives.
Zachary Wester may have been arrested, but he is presumed innocent. The more challenging issue now is, can prosecutors prove Zachary Wester is guilty?
I am surprised and alternately impressed that the DA's office actually took this to trial, because I think that everybody in law enforcement in the DA's office, they knew at the pit of their stomach that there was something really wrong here, but convincing people who are not in the industry or a jury of just regular folks that this was a deviation and a criminal act was actually a heavy lift.
If
Wow,
you get
y'all.
injured in a car accident, don't call an attorney.
Wow, you
Use this
guys.
AI app instead.
This dude ruined 67 people. He did 67 stops and planets. drugs in 67 people's cars. Now, there's more victims because some of those people, there's 2 people in the car. Bogus, bogus, selfish, because he want to get on the narcotics. But the whole thing is, and why he want to get on the narcotics squad, so he can find narcotics, steal them, and sell them, and find dope dealers, big dope dealers, get their money and keep it. He got racketeering. He's a criminal who had never gotten caught, became a cop, and got caught as a cop because he's a criminal.
That band was singing it. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And I like to hum a tune in case something ever goes in front of the jury, you know? So they're not just sitting somewhere, just like elevator music. So they're not just sitting somewhere chilling, hanging out.
In May 2021, a Florida trial began that was quite startling to see. A former police officer named Zachary Wester was facing 67 criminal charges in connection with planting drugs on unsuspecting and innocent motorists.
This is a case about an abuse of an incredible power. The defendant used his position as a deputy sheriff to make traffic stops on 12 members of this community and plant methamphetamine in their cars, methamphetamine and paraphernalia. He turned what should be a law enforcement agency, and is, into something for his own use that was criminal.
The strongest evidence was what was examined under a closer professional eye. We have a very similar MO, a policy, a practice that this individual employed, the recovery of the same type of substance, not within direct view of body cam, movements that could not be accounted for, divergent paperwork, unexplained discrepancies in tests and field testing.
Josh Emanuel voluntarily told the defendant that he had a gun in his car before the defendant had any reason to search it. Now, why would he do that if methamphetamine was really in his car? Why would Mr. Bolden give the defendant his corrections ID? Letting this deputy know right away that he's got a criminal history. Why would he do that if there was methamphetamine in the car?
Man, if I know that was in there, you think I'd tell you go here and search, man? Come on, man, really?
People still do sometimes.
Why would they consent to a search of the car? There's no reason to. They consented to search because they didn't have anything to hide.
And the prosecution honed in on arguably their strongest piece of evidence.
Why in the world does the defendant have palmed in his hand, which is clasped like this, not like this, not like this, like this, a plastic baggie? Why in the world does he have that there? I would submit that this is objective evidence where you see him planting drugs in the moment. You see something in his hand that has no reason, no logical reason, given this stop and what we know about it, for it to be there. This is him planting evidence, and you see it.
People were saying you could see the baggie. I could not see it. I think the hardest part for a prosecutor here is, number one, there's no smoking on. And number two, there's a really flimsy motive for the regular person. You have to understand why someone with so much to lose would risk.
Mr. Wester went one by one through each and every stop and arrest. Many other officers, all nothing unusual, no red flag with anything Mr. Wester did. Many of those same officers were not surprised at all that those suspects denied ownership of the drugs and paraphernalia Mr. Wester found in their cars. There is no direct evidence.
Why is he the only one doing the searches, though?
Not one person said they saw him doing anything unusual.
Not actually seeing him.
Because they wasn't near the car.
That may come off as, that was just a bad angle of the camera. But again, juries do want to actually see that. Jurors want to see physical evidence.
Many of them entered pleas. Nobody challenged anything in the courtroom, and nobody filed any complaints with the sheriff's office.
Here's the other harder part for the victims. Some of them pleaded guilty. And what that means is, if you plead guilty, you can't later say that you didn't do it. The people who admitted that the drugs were theirs, in the eye of the law, the drugs were theirs.
Most of the people that got up there and testified also said, yeah, I'm suing. At least one of them said, yes, a conviction here would definitely help my civil case. So is there an interest? Yes. And what is that? Money.
Some of these people on traffic stops entered a guilty plea because they felt like, who's going to believe my word over a deputy sheriff's word? That's a legitimate concern. So you've got a public defender or your attorney that's saying, hey, look, you just pleaded this, you're going to get no prison time. The pressure's on you just to say, I want this to go away.
And the jury got to hear from those alleged victims themselves.
The white small plastic baggie that was in that spoon that the deputy just showed you on this video. Had you ever seen that before?
No, sir.
Was that in your car?
No, sir. He said that he smelled marijuana emitting from the vehicle.
Had you been smoking marijuana in the vehicle?
No, sir, absolutely not.
What about Miss Smith?
Absolutely not. She was 3 months pregnant.
How long was it between you packing Reginald's lunch and this defendant pulling you over and saying he found meth in it?
Less than 5 minutes.
Was there any meth in that lunchbox?
No, sir.
Did you put any meth in it?
No, sir. He told Reginald to put his hands behind his head, and he told me to go over towards the tree.
At some point, did you try to film this on your phone?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
Here's one thing you need to
He
do before
took her
buying
phone,
anything
probably, or
online.
threatened
Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
He was acting weird. You told me that I would be arrested if I did not put my phone down.
Testifying against Wester was scary just for the fact that you're testifying against a law enforcement officer.
The only thing I really saw was the fact that he did keep going back into the car like several times over and over and over again. Because he'd come back, he'd talk to me, he'd go back to the car, he'd come back to me, he'd go back to the car.
This is someone the state has put in place to protect and serve. They're entrusted with the public safety. They're entrusted to do the right thing, and they took an oath to do so. So when you're sitting in the courtroom saying, that's a dirty cop, it doesn't look good.
He said he found a syringe in a baggie that looked like it had been used. He said it was stuffed down in between the passenger seat and the center console.
Would you have seen it if something was there?
Oh, for sure.
Was there anything like that there?
No.
Everybody says they're innocent. Everybody said it wasn't mine. You know, everybody says they have nothing to do with it. So going into that, you're thinking, how many other people have been in my spot testifying against an officer? Typically that doesn't go very well.
You never saw him with a needle or bag or anything in his hands until after he came to your car? No, he was pretty far in there and he was reaching for the gun. Did you see him reaching in his pockets or anything? No. And he was wearing short sleeves, so he didn't have anything up his sleeves either, did he?
But I knew I had to do it. I had a clean record. I was the quote-unquote key witness in this case because of my clean record. So me testifying was a big deal for the state.
Then it was time for Zachary Wester to take the stand.
Did you plant this substance in Mr. Williams' lunchbox?
I did not.
The report that you wrote in that case, did you falsify anything in this report?
No. Yes. No, sir.
With Miss Wood, was there anything with her that you planted so that you could arrest her?
No.
Was there anything in your report that wasn't true about Miss Wood?
No.
The marijuana shake and the methamphetamine that you found in the vehicle, did you plant that there?
I did not, no.
This case is tough because you're dealing with a professional witness. Cops, part of their job is they testify. Police officers are trained to be great witnesses.
The allegation is that you found 6, but only entered 5 into evidence.
And that would be correct.
Okay. Tell us why.
It was determined that one that was unused could have very well been for his diabetes that he just stated that he uses syringes for. So I didn't determine that one to be of evidentiary value, and it was just simply disposed of.
Did you take that other needle and hide it in your car to plant in somebody else's car later?
No, I did not.
There are certain strategies and techniques when people testify that become learned and practiced over time. Not getting overly emotional, answering only.
I wish one of the syringes was the diabetes needle and that he took it and put it in another victim's car, and then they'd be like, how did his DNA get into somebody else's car? Oh, this guy right here.
What is asked, responding in a way that is non-confrontational, non-argumentative.
In all of these cases that we've talked about, you did not find any evidence.
That never crossed my mind. No.
These were legitimate stops, searches, and you found illegal narcotics.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Liar.
By and large, he was really good on the stand.
Methamphetamine is quite prevalent here in Jackson County, correct?
Methamphetamine is very prevalent in Jackson County. I've seen firsthand the destruction that methamphetamine has on families, has on friends, and in my job as a deputy sheriff, I wanted to be as proactive as I could. I didn't feel that the citizens of Jackson County wanted to pay me to just sit somewhere and wait for a call.
Wester even tried to explain away the arguably incriminating evidence from the Odom stop.
In the void space, there was a baggie of some sort. I didn't know at the time if it was of evidentiary value or not. It didn't appear as if it had narcotics in it. It didn't appear as if it had anything that may have been of value, but nonetheless, I wanted to try to preserve it, so I grabbed it. And whenever I entered the vehicle, it was in my left hand. But I wanted to be able to still use my fingers before I put my gloves on. I moved my hand and I placed the item in the driver's side floorboard, and I continued my search.
The state is showing these still photos. There's something in your hand.
Sure.
There is something in your hand.
Absolutely.
Was it that bag of methamphetamine that's sitting there on that spoon right now?
It was not, no.
It was obvious to me that Wester had been coached a lot for his testimony. That's not uncommon. Wester had done his homework and really prepped for the questions that were probably going to be asked by the state prosecution.
Where on your body camera video do we see you handle that baggie and either picking it up or putting it down or looking at it closely to determine what's in it?
Whenever I put that baggie in the front driver's side floorboard, I never seen it again. I'm not sure if it's because when a semi came through, it blew it into the roadway. There was really no need for me to go walk across 231 at the busiest time of the day to try to find something that I didn't even know was evidentiary value or not.
Why'd you set it down on the floorboard if you didn't know if it had evidentiary value or not?
So that I could search the vehicle.
How about searching what's in your hand? How about that?
I didn't expect him to actually get on the stand. He kept move his nose. He was very twitchy and nervous the whole time. He lost his cool on the stand several times with the state attorney.
Your theory was that because Mom had been in the car at some point and Mom had been a meth user years before.
Most people have no clue that in 2023 the best way to make money on Amazon is not with
that even if they were an accidental possession, that you went ahead and arrested them.
I did, and here's the thing: most of the time they deny knowledge. So, Mr. Williams, you're presenting to this jury that in the First Circuit where you work, that if someone says that they didn't know about the narcotics, you're just going to drop the case on every single narcotics charge that comes on your desk?
Sir, you know that's not what I'm saying.
It sounds to me that's what you're saying.
Okay. Well, thank you for your input. I'll remind you, as you're aware, that I asked the question and you answered.
Sure.
I just really believe that he came across a little cocky, a little arrogant, versus, hey, I'm truly innocent here.
The goal of the body camera is to allow someone else, in this very court system perhaps, to see what you or any other deputy would see while they had that body camera on. Isn't that right?
Body cameras are very beneficial, yes.
Not for Reginald Williams, we don't have one, right? So why don't we have one for him?
If the body camera video for Mr. Reginald Williams would not have been deleted from the server, this jury would have had a chance to review that body camera.
Who deleted it?
Mr. Williams, I don't know.
If someone deleted it, did they delete the front part of the manual video? They'd go in and delete that as well?
Mr. Williams, I've already testified as to the first part of that manual video, and I made it very clear that the body camera experienced a malfunction.
And it so happened that that missed the part where you would have first gotten into the car and had a chance to see the syringe in the backpack. Is that right?
I would disagree with that.
That's not when the error occurred?
I would disagree with that.
Then why isn't it on the video?
Mr. Williams, I've explained this to you 3 or 4 times now as far as why that is not on the video.
Is there some reason you will not answer that to the jury?
The body camera error occurred as soon as the traffic stop was initiated.
The defense's case was actually pretty solid. And it's not really due to the defense attorney. It was Wester's covering of his actions. He had an explanation for everything. He had cut his body cam on and off at certain times perfectly and explained it away as a malfunction. You know, and they questioned people involved in IT in that department. You know, is this a possibility? Well, yeah, it's a possibility. It's a body cam.
Now, you testified that you saw Kimberly Hazelwood reach down and put that Excedrin bottle in that trash bag. Is that right?
Yes.
Where's that on the video?
The body camera doesn't pick it up. Okay. But whenever you look through the back window, you will be surprised at how a body camera, how it darkens things. And you have to remember, a body camera sees a narrow field of view. It sees what it wants to see. So I was able to see that with my eyes through that back glass.
That was tough to sit in the courtroom and say, I don't know how he did it, but I know he did. And I hope there's enough evidence to prove it. The packet being in his hand before he put his glove on. The fact that he didn't have him finding anything on camera. It was just there. So the jury really had to go by their belief in whether or not he was a dirty cop.
And to the jury this case went. Would they believe Zachary Wester was upholding the law or breaking the law? After deliberating more than 7 hours over the course of 2 days, this was the jury's decision.
We, the jury, found as follows as to the counts charged and the information. Count 1, guilty of racketeering as charged. Count 2, not guilty. Count 3, not guilty. Count 4, not guilty. Count 7, guilty of official misconduct related to Teresa Odom as charged.
In a split decision, the jurors found Zachary Wester guilty of 19 charges, including racketeering, official misconduct, false imprisonment, and possession, but not guilty on 48 other charges.
So I think they came back with the right verdict, convicting him on the charges that they had the strongest evidence on.
There were so many more not guilties called out than there were guilty verdicts. And that was rough to hear. As someone who went through it, he's getting off on all of these cases. But in the end, after all was said and done, he was found guilty on charges relating to 3 of the people involved. Myself, Stephen Van, and Teresa Odom. In that moment, you're like, someone realized that this wasn't right, and you start thinking that maybe he'll get the time he deserves.
As to count 1, racketeering, which is a first-degree felony, you are sentenced to serve 5 years in the Florida Department of Corrections. As to count 7, official misconduct, 18 months. As to count 31, fabricating evidence, 1 year and 1 day. As to count 64, that's false imprisonment, you were sentenced to serve 1 year and 1 day. Therefore, it is the intention of the court that you were sentenced to serve a total of 12 years, 6 months, and 8 days in the Florida Department of Corrections.
There's no one that dislikes a dirty cop more than I do. It's wrong, it taints the agency, it taints the badge. Actions and behavior like this in law enforcement will not be tolerated, and you will be held accountable for your actions.
People lost kids, grandkids, their right to work, no questions asked. I mean, I still have my fair share of side effects from it. To this day, if I see police lights, my heart drops and I have a panic attack on the road. There's a bad apple in every profession, but when you run into a bad cop, that can change your life. And it can be for the good, it can be for the worst, and this time, for a lot of people, it was for the worst.
For a moment, just think about the impact that Zachary Wester had here. So in total, prosecutors dropped charges in 119 cases involving Wester. Over 30 of the people that he arrested agreed to a nearly $1 million federal court settlement. His career, reputation, ruined. He's locked up behind bars for years. And you have all of these people who are going to go through life knowing that they were falsely arrested by someone who was entrusted to uphold the law. And all of this for what? That question of why he did it, it is still not clear. And honestly, I'll tell you what, it may never be clear. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to see you next time. And as always, stay safe.
Monster. Look, it's like this. When people do things like that to people, people in authority do things like that, right? You literally, you might as well have shot that person, because those, you, people are sick. You know what I'm saying? That's a sick man, but people are physically have ailments, and you have them locked up for in false imprisonment, and they die in jail. What now? What now? Even if they win $1 million, it's not replacing their loved one. People losing their kids. The girl lost her kid, and he don't care. He's still sitting on the stand lying. Like, wow, really? And guess what though? There's people in there in that prison. He better not be in population. I bet you that. Because guess what? They see him on the news. They see the trial, and they know if you come into that jail, they know where you going to, what jail system you going to, when you get in there, what tier you gonna be on. They know who your roommate might be, and it's on like neck bones. You a cop and a dirty cop too. They finna peel your head to the white meat. But guess what? You earned it, dirty dog. But yeah, this was a continuation video from earlier where I was started the video off, and got a call and had to come back and finish up the video. And like I said, thanks for joining this stream. Um, don't forget to like the videos, share the videos, subscribe to my channel, and push the notification bell so I can keep making great content like this if you like this content. So, with that being said, this is Chilling with Ladychil. I'm Ladychil, and peace and hair